top news headlines from the news desk at the Katanning Paper right now on Radio for Your Neighborhood. AM 1380 and FM 103.7. WTYM, Katanning, Ford City.
Armstrong County is going to join 21 other counties in Pennsylvania today as they create a court made for veterans.
We've invited you here to announce the establishment of the Armstrong County Veterans Treatment Court. This diversionary program is intended to identify qualified veterans who face charges to participate in counseling and treatment throughout intensive supervision to lead to recovery, avoiding criminal sanctions. This program has been authorized by the county. We appreciate the Board of Commissioners creating a probation officer who will be the coordinator of the program. The program is funded by the Armstrong County Memorial Hospital Foundation and the Indiana Armstrong Commission on Drugs and Alcohol. Years of work, literally, have gone into this project, and the Armstrong County District Attorney, Armstrong County Public Defender, Armstrong County Probation Department have dedicated hundreds of hours at no additional compensation. So I want to acknowledge those who have made this possible here today. First, John Lewis, the CEO of the Armstrong County Memorial Hospital, on behalf of the Armstrong County Foundation. John, if you wish to say a few words, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you, Judge Panchik. I think one of the things, the hospital's interest is not just about the traditional disease management, emergency, or surgery. We're very much interested in the health and wellness of the community at large, and the interest of the veterans is absolutely in line with that. Whether it's in mental health, substance abuse, or just well-being. So we're very excited to be able to participate and add that to something else in support of what our legal system and what Judge Panchik and Judge McClister are doing are absolutely, I think, paramount. For veterans who, frankly, they've been asked to give up something of their personal life. We don't always appreciate what they've been through. So I think it's important from a help out. The last thing, I think it's also from a business standpoint, it's the right thing to do. Keeping them out of the court system, keeping them out of the incarceration is frankly lower cost. Put them back as productive members of society. So we're very excited to be able to participate in that. And the last thing I also want to say, within the foundation, there's actually a designated restricted fund for the Veterans Court, and our first contributor was the Margaret Patton Foundation, who donated $10,000 to help kick this off. So happy to be a part of the health and wellness of the community.
John, thank you. Also seated here is Liz White. Liz White is a part of the foundation, and we attempted to have the county employ and fund the position. However, that was not possible, and it was Liz who brought the foundation and fostered Indiana Armstrong Drug and Alcohol Commission to participate to get the Veteran Treatment Court Coordinator position funded. So, Liz, invite you to say a few words.
Judge, the only thing that I would add to what John just said is that because you never want to pass up an opportunity to advertise the dedicated fund that John mentioned within the Hospital Foundation, anyone wishing to contribute to this initiative can send their donations directly to the ACMH Hospital Foundation with a notation that the funds are to be, or the donation is to be directed to the Veterans Court program.
As you know, this was very hastily put together. We wanted to do it today because this month is Veteran Appreciation Month. It's Memorial Day weekend, and unfortunately, we invited Cammie Anderson from the Indiana Commission on Drugs and Alcohol. She could not be here, but I do want to recognize and extend to her our sincere appreciation. In addition, we're grateful to the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts. Andrew Simpson has traveled here on 2 occasions for 4 days. He left last night, and we appreciate the AOPC's assistance. We couldn't do this without them. I want to introduce Judge McClister, who has also been instrumental in the whole process. Judge?
Well, I won't repeat what others have already said, but I'll just say that the emphasis on these problem-solving courts is treatment, and so the veterans who will be eligible for this program will be connected with treatment services that are already in place, but maybe many veterans are not fully aware of the services that are available to them, and that's part of what this court is designed to do, is to make veterans become more aware of what services are available to them and then connect them with those services. In addition to that, one of the components of the program is a mentor, a veteran mentor, and so we will be exploring our options to try to get some of the citizens of Armstrong County and surrounding areas to help us as mentors so that they can be there 24/7 to be supportive of the veterans who are participating in the program and to be part of the overall team that is going to help come together to make this project work. And I'd like to thank Judge Panchik for his persistence in making sure that this program came into being.
Also, this could not exist if it weren't for the complete cooperation and support of the district attorney. We have the Armstrong County elected district attorney Charlton with us this morning. Attorney Charlton.
Thank you, Judge. I would just echo everyone's sentiments. I'm extremely excited that our county is going to be able to offer this program to our veterans to show them our gratitude for their sacrifices for our country. And likewise, I'd like to thank Judge Panchik for really getting everything going for this program. I think Armstrong County is truly going to benefit from this program. And the last thing I will say is another reason, not only for our gratitude for veterans, but particularly veterans courts have been shown to be proven to work. And when I say that, individuals who successfully complete veterans court have a much lower risk of recidivism, which is very important to a district attorney. You know, we're looking at ways to reduce crime, to help people, to make them productive members of society, and veterans courts have been proven to work for that. So I think this will be such a wonderful thing for Armstrong County, and I'm really proud to support it. Thanks, Judge.
In that regard, without getting deep into statistics or data, the Veterans Court nationwide has a 97% success rate. That means recidivism or repeat offenses is at 3%. This is why we feel so strongly about creating this court. Also, Attorney Charlton is taking on this responsibility at no additional compensation. Likewise, the Armstrong County Chief Public Defender, Preston T. Youngkins, is a critical component. Attorney Youngkins will be the first to meet at the preliminary hearing stage. Some of the individuals who may be able to participate in the program. So that responsibility at no additional compensation has to be acknowledged. We appreciate that, and I also want to acknowledge that Attorney Youngkins is a veteran also. Mr. Youngkins?
Yes, Your Honor. I think it's been about 4 years or so since the judge approached me about the Veterans Court idea. I remember maybe 2016, the judge, Ms. Charlton and I, being at a seminar put on by the state Supreme Court at that point concerning the Veterans Court, its advantages, how it works. And as the judge noted, I come at it from two different angles to some extent. One, is as a veteran. Was a judge advocate in the Marine Corps and participated in the first Gulf War. You'd like to see your fellow veterans being taken care of. Folks who frequently did well in military service but may have had problems adjusting back to the civilian life. So that I like. The other part as the public defender and as an attorney in criminal law areas, I like the idea of alternatives and ways of dealing with problems. All too often, unfortunately, we sort of have the extremes of maybe probation and jail time. We don't necessarily always have a lot of things in between that maybe are more appropriate. And again, I think the statistics and how the programs are generally set up will be beneficial. I note even prior to this, we've had over the last year or so some more increased involvement from the Veterans Administration folks coming over, helping out with things like housing for veterans. Sometimes the reason people end up in jail is not necessarily that they're considered a major flight risk or they've committed a heinous crime. It's frankly they have no place else to go. And so sometimes, in many situations, the VA has helped us out with that. So I want to thank them. And again, I want to thank everybody here at the table for getting this program off the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Youngkins. Every organization has a backbone. Every organization has a driving force. Our Chief Probation Officer, Regina Himes, is one of these individuals, and we're very grateful for the work, dedication, again, at no additional compensation to get this program going. Regina?
We have been working on this project for at least 2 or 3 years. We're very excited to get this up and running. And probation's role in this is more on the back end, the supervision of the participants in this program. It'll be a little bit of a different role than an ordinary probation officer who is supervising those who have been sentenced by the court. We wish to do this more of a diversion program. These veterans, we want to help them, get them the treatment, the help they need so they can be diverted out of the criminal justice system and better treated with the Veterans Association. So it was through the generosity of both the Armstrong, Indiana Clarion Drug and Alcohol Commission and the Hospital Foundation that we needed to hire a Veterans Court coordinator. So we were able to, that was the key to this, to getting this going. So through their generosity of their donations, we were able to hire a Veterans Court coordinator, and I'll let Brian speak for himself here, but I just want to, in Armstrong County in the criminal justice system, we have an incredible collaboration of agencies. Without each role on the team is very important. Without one falls, we all fall. So the work that the DA, the public defender, the court, everybody, we're working together to better serve our veterans in this county, and we're very excited about this program. So I'll let the judge introduce them.
We have been operating without a veterans court, but in recognition of our veterans forever. What has crystallized this for us is we've been so incredibly fortunate to have a veteran outreach coordinator from the Veterans Administration who has gone into our jail for years now, visited with the inmates, identified veterans, brought them to our attention. We changed the way we do our pre-sentence investigation. There's a block for veterans that's been on there for years now to identify those who have served. But Miss Christy Beavers, who's been coming here and doing the legwork in the jail, spending countless hours far from her home to come here to help our veterans. We're incredibly fortunate. And Christy has brought this really together in a tangible way. We sentence differently than we had in the past, identifying veterans and programs that they may be eligible for through Christy's efforts. We parole veterans into the domiciliary, which we would have no idea about. One's qualification for that, which is guaranteed treatment without private pay. So it's easy for someone to say, I'd like to go into treatment, but the veteran who qualifies for VA benefits, that is not a worry. So I'd like to introduce Christy Beavers, and with our sincere appreciation and gratitude.
Thank you, Judge. I just want to say on behalf of the VA, like, we are beyond excited. Anytime that we can collaborate with our community providers and our counties that we serve, it's just such a fantastic opportunity. The VA, just cannot take care of our veterans without those collaborations, and the Veterans Treatment Court is a very unique way to identify and really provide that structure, that assistance, that treatment, that camaraderie, all of those things that that veteran may need. Veterans that become involved in the criminal justice system, we know from research that is most of the time due to mental health or substance use disorders or readjustment issues from readjusting back to society from the military. And the Veterans Court program, because of its military structure, the veterans respond to that, and they do really well. Veterans courts are not VA programs. These are county programs. As a representative from the VA, I'm like one spoke of that wheel, and it does require all of these other spokes on that wheel, and that's what makes it successful, is having that whole, every single part of that team has to be there and in place to help these veterans. And seeing them kind of enter a program like this from jail, from just, when they become involved in the criminal justice system, that's often at their worst time of their life. And watching them go through the phases of treatment court and then successfully graduate and go on, it's not just about recidivism, that's a huge piece, and it's not just about sobriety, that's a huge piece too. It's about, we see families restored. We see, veterans completing their education. We see veterans getting jobs and working and contributing to society and going on to volunteer and become mentors. And then there's this, veterans want to help other veterans. So there's already that built-in camaraderie, and the Veterans Court program just fosters that and encourages that throughout the program. So we are just very, very thankful and appreciative to the county, to Judge Panchik, to everyone involved for just reaching out and helping our veterans. We appreciate it.
Another veteran also that is part and parcel of our team is one of our law clerks, James Priesterbach, who has done an incredible amount of work toward the research and writing of all of the voluminous documents that are involved in this. And I'd like to introduce James.
Thank you, Judge. On behalf of everyone here, I can say what an honor it is to have the opportunity to give back to those who have given before. And as an officer of the court and a veteran, having one foot in each having one foot in each group, I can think of no better way to give my time than to help support an organization trying to restore the quality of life of these veterans. And I'm honored and humbled to be here. Thank you.
Also a veteran who the nation is grateful for his service and who now will be serving our local veterans is our Veteran Treatment Court Coordinator, Brian Zabracki. Mr. Zabracki.
Thank you, Judge, and just thank you to everyone here. As a veteran myself, it is an honor and privilege to be able to give back to fellow veterans, my brothers and sisters at arms at one point. It's, as Christy's touched on, it's about, restoring the lives of the veteran, their families, community. The reduction of recidivism is just a small portion of the completion of restoring and giving back to the veteran what they may have misplaced, if you will. But it's an honor to be here, and I look forward to doing great things for Armstrong County and our veterans. Thank you, Judge.
So in conclusion, I want to again thank the county for creating Brian's position. I'm particularly grateful to the Armstrong County Memorial Hospital Foundation and its leadership, especially John Lewis and Liz White. And I also want to acknowledge again the debt of gratitude we have to the Indiana Armstrong Commission on Drugs and Alcohol for their stepping up in funding this position. So I want to end with simply saying thank you. We genuinely appreciate you, and I mean that most sincerely. Thank you.
Judge, can I ask a couple questions? You said that the treatment court designed to provide an alternative program for community's veterans. Were there special judicial guidelines that are followed there, like similar like the DUI has specific guidelines for those offenses? Are there now other guidelines that apply to veterans?
The same laws apply to everyone. This is simply a program to divert a person into treatment, and the inducement is that the charges will be disposed of in an alternative way. In other words, like the Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition Program, these are programs created by the Supreme Court, and they allows alternate disposition of the case. So the veteran will come in, the veteran will enter a plea of guilty to the charges, and the veteran will have two agreements. One will be a standard disposition as to what the district attorney would offer in any case. The other would be in the event that the veteran completes the treatment program, which we anticipate to be 2 years, then there would be an alternative disposition, either lesser charges or a dismissal or some alternative disposition, because the veteran will have completed what we would have ordered without being ordered. So it is alternative. It's not different. Everyone is treated the same, but it is a diversionary program, not unlike ARD.
You said that they're going to be supervised by specialized probation officers, and I think I heard you say during this meeting that people are volunteering to do these positions.
Well, Brian will be the supervisor. Brian is the only member of the team who is a paid employee of the county. Everyone else is doing their additional duties at no additional compensation. That's what I mean by volunteer.
And the cost of this, privately funded cost to do this, is there an amount?
It's his salary.
And that's how much?
That I'm not, I off top don't know.
Okay.
The commissioners set that, and I honestly cannot tell you that. There will be additional expenses. We've applied for grants from the state for office equipment, paper, that sort of thing, and we were awarded 2 years ago $29,000. I think up to they would reimburse. Is it 29?
It's 27.
$27,000 that they would reimburse us if we spent, but we didn't have the court, so we lost that. But fully hope that we will have that reinstated. So that will be money that would go, other than salary, for costs associated with the court.
You don't see any time in the near future where you're going to have to also hire additional people to handle this court?
We do not.
Okay. And one last question. The Veterans Treatment Court is seeking veteran mentors. Do you have any kind of idea of their duties, what those mentors will do?
I'll direct that to Christy.
Every veteran who participates in the Veterans Court program is assigned a mentor. So everyone has a mentor that helps them from the very beginning, all the way to the end. That veteran mentor provides support, helps guide that veteran, helps advocate for that veteran, and just helps guide them along the way and provide that. It's a very important piece to Veterans Court. So it is, anyone who's interested, definitely reach out. It's a very rewarding thing to be involved in.
There's a training process for that?
There is a training and an application process, and I don't know if Brian wants to touch on that a little bit.
There's an initial application that can be found on the Veteran Affairs website, or the VA website, excuse me. And you're able to fill out the application, take a training, and then you're able to send it to myself or Christy or anyone who would be able to facilitate getting the application to myself.
There's a large population of veterans who live in Armstrong County. What percentage of individuals do you encounter in the criminal justice system?
I'm going to defer that to my judge.
I can't answer that. Can you?
I cannot.
How about your impression?
Very low.
Very small number. 20, 100?
Oh, I can't tell you that. We run through about clipping 1,000 cases a year.
Between 1,000 and 1,200.
And I can't give you a number. I don't know that.
Okay,
But
so
we
but it's a significant number.
That's right. We anticipate handling, initially, we're going to start with 1, right? And then 2. And we feel we could probably handle up to 10. We'll be conducting Veterans Court twice a month here in the courtroom. We'll be meeting as a team to discuss the cases prior. And the actual Veterans Court has the individuals in the courtroom coming before me in front of the district attorney, the public defender, and having a discussion as to how it's going. So it's not like running through 40 cases like we might do on an average ARD. This is a long process that, as Judge McClister alluded to, that this is not a free pass. This is a very long process of probably 24 months. And so you can only handle so many. And if we could be running at 10 to a dozen next year, I think that would be pretty much capacity.
Are there categories of offenses that would not fall?
Yes. Yes. We've agreed upon, for example, homicide would not qualify. We've agreed that most sex-related offenses may not qualify. We've also retained discretion to, even though there are certain categories that will not qualify, certain veterans may. So it's going to be a case-by-case determination made by the team.
Are there state directives through AOPC that would also provide some limitations?
They provide guidance.
As they do for other categories?
Yes, we just had 3 AOPC staff here for 2 days, went over our process and procedures manual, almost line by line, discussing each provision at length.
Can you guess, anyone, roughly how many veterans have received, veterans who were receptive, received assistance in, say, the last 2 years? Rough estimate.
Receiving assistance, like through the VA?
Yeah, involving criminal matters.
I'm not sure about that. I know that the VA serves, it's around 2,300 veterans in Armstrong County are enrolled in and receiving care at the VA. But I have no idea of knowing how many of those may be involved in the criminal justice system.
As noted earlier, I mentioned we've had a number of cases where the VA has assisted us, defendants with housing issues. That's a very big issue. The other one is that, as noted, the issue a lot of times is treatment. The VA seems to have more programs available, I would say, than are available otherwise. One of the issues we get into sometimes is what they call dual diagnosis. A person has a mental health issue and a drug and alcohol issue, which, of course, they tend to feed into each other. And again, the VA, of course, for eligible veterans, has helped us out a couple times of getting folks into those programs because it's not something that's available a lot in other ways. I'll just say it that way. And if you don't treat one, if you only treat one part of the problem, it's just going to come back. So again, putting numbers to it is difficult, but I think it's been significant. Even if it's affected one person, it's been significant.
To the veterans, if I could, please. The VA, in previous decades, did not always display this type of understanding, but in recent years has exceeded what many Vietnam era forward had imagined. And of course the hospital is always there assisting. Can you comment about that? Is this a different VA? They truly are interested in the men and women who serve.
I would sort of echo your comment that it does seem within the last several years there has been a much more active involvement of the VA in these type of issues. Before, a lot of times, if I had somebody I was representing that was VA eligible, frankly, I was the one that had to make the phone calls. I would, now it's the VA is contacting us about these folks. As indicated, they're involved in a case sometimes even before we are, meeting with the folks out at the jail, again, identifying issues of housing, which again is a significant problem there. And again, being here and knowing of the programs that they would have available. Again, it was before, it was burden on the attorney and the court system or the probation office to be reaching out to the VA. Again, it does seem like they are a little bit more approachable than they used to be.
Can I make a comment on that? The Veteran Justice Outreach Program, which is, I'm the Veteran Justice Outreach Coordinator for the Butler VA, has been in operation for about 10 years. And this program, and there are VJOs at every single VA across the country. And my position is to identify veterans who are involved in the criminal justice system and get them linked to treatment. And that is a fairly new program, like I said, just within the last 10 years, in response to, just seeing that, between 10 and 12% of our jail and prison population are veterans, which is, much higher than the general population. So there was a need for that, and so those outreach efforts of that position, trying to reach out and identify whether that's through the jails, through the court system, through probation, parole, often magistrates, police. We do a lot of police training so that police officers, I get calls from police officers from doing outreach like that, where they'll say, you know, I arrested this individual, they identified as being a veteran, you know, can you reach out to them? So there are some definitely, in the recent years, some fairly new initiatives from the VA.
And to follow up that comment, even prior to this, a lot of our police officers, a lot of our state troopers are veterans themselves. A lot of, you know, so they identify with folks, and so they've always been sort of themselves, you know, being open to working things out, trying to come up with alternatives, trying to get people into treatment and so forth. And I think that's something we're hoping as part of this program. You know, the initial contact is going to be from the police, and the police are going to be looking for this and maybe trying to get things started a little earlier than otherwise.
All right. Anything else? Well, thank you so much for coming, and I want to thank all of the participants for coming in. We appreciate it.
WTYM, Katanning Ford City, on the radio at AM 1380 and FM 103.7, and online at WTYMradio.com. Radio, computer, or smartphone. Stay connected to radio for your neighborhood.